Welcome to the Hot Seat, David Judge, and here we are at Season 2, Episode 6 of the Hot Seat, where we release a new episode every second Tuesday and talk to industry influencers that have worked hands-on in the real estate industry to find out where these influencers see current and future trends and what you can do about it to support and grow your business. Now today, I am really excited as we interviewed a power couple in the industry, Hallie and Brennan Hill, who run 3 separate Raywhite agencies in Brisbane. They are also clients of Affordable Staff, and over our time working with them, we've watched their rapid growth and at the same time their constant adaptation of technology into their business. And for example, in the last month alone, experiencing 17 million in sales, and on average, they bring on 45 to 50 new property managements every single month. Now, in our interview, Hallie and Brennan share how buying habits are changing at a faster rate and how the key to success is around richer relationships where they know who the real you is that they're buying from. Why you should be able to adapt to every individual client's needs and offer every single client, irrespective of their size of your business, a unique experience, and why you should always be giving out your gold and how by giving out your gold, it positions you as a leader in the marketplace. Now, seriously, these guys are on the front line every day. They are doing the do and they are the real deal. So I'm going to stop talking. Let's jump into it and roll it. Hello and welcome to the Hot Seat powered by Affordable Staff. I'm David and I have
Damien.
And we also have
Hallie
and
Brennan,
who are part of Raywhite Bean Lee, yes?
Yep.
Yes. So welcome to the Hot Seat.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes. And so we're basically today, the format of the Hot Seat, we're going to ask you a couple of questions around why you got into the industry, where you see the industry now, where you see it going in the future, and just whatever flows from there.
Okay, fantastic.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. So let's get started. So how did you guys get into the industry? Because husband and wife couple owning real estate business in...
Yeah, a lot of people presume that we got into the industry at the same time or we met in real estate, which isn't actually the case. I started in real estate back in 2002 at Bruce Harry Real Estate at Holland Park. Went there for a Saturday job and they offered me a full-time position and I thought, hey, why not give it a try, and got pretty much thrown in the deep end, so it was very much sink or swim. And had a fantastic mentor there that really coached me and helped me become a property manager, and then I moved on from there to Rental Hotline, which then became Run Property and then Little Real Estate, and then it just flowed on from there.
Wow, you've been around in the industry?
Yeah, for quite a while.
And before I got into real estate, I was selling photocopiers and a telemarketer, and I thought...
Perfect transition.
Yeah. And I couldn't really see myself being a photocopier mogul, and then I followed Hallie into real estate. We weren't working in the same business, but I thought, she was enjoying it, so I thought I'd give it a crack.
So I've been married for 19 years as of recording this interview, and been working with Evan now for about 11 years. There are times I actually contribute part of my baldness and my grey as a result of working with my wife. How do you guys go working together, married couple?
Look, it's... I think initially, it can be a little bit challenging when you first open up a business. You've also got the stresses of opening a business. And then, obviously, when I first started, when we opened up the business, I was, admin, reception, implementing our software, moved into sales, did property management. So kind of rotated around all the roles until we could grow to the point we're at now. Yes. So, I think at the moment we've found a really good place where we can work really well together. I mean, we've always had... We've always been very much supportive of each other's roles and what we've done throughout our career. So it was just a really natural thing to go into and work together. And we can combine both of our skills and create what we've got today. Yeah, and
anything to add there, Brennan?
Yeah. Look, there definitely has been some challenges working together. We found that we work better in different teams.
Yes.
Hallie's definitely the CEO at home, but I try and be the boss at work, and it doesn't work very well. But I think we work really well together because we both really understand where each other are going in terms of our goals and in terms of what we want to see with the industry. And we work together in the same company probably about 10 years ago, different offices, same company, and so we were exposed to some great leaders at that time, and really gave us a good introduction to what's possible. And then we sort of went our separate ways in terms of the companies we were with and the industries we were in, and we sort of swung back together only about 3 years ago when I was at Ray White Corporate and Hallie was working for Console. So we started mixing with the same group of innovators and sort of forward thinkers at that time, and then when the opportunity came to open up our own business, it was really natural for us to come together and just do what we've done, and really try and make a change and do things differently, like we'd always hoped that the industry would do. But yeah, we definitely had some challenges in the first 12 months when we were working really closely together.
Yeah, and I must admit, for Eva and I working together so closely, we used to have offices that were literally backed onto each other, so it was just a wall separating us, and I ended up having to move to a separate part of the office because it was just too close. It was just, she's really loud, I'm really loud, and then we've certainly segregated away. So again, I think it's a fantastic piece of advice around having your individual goals and understanding your goals. Because that's what we have, and like we both manage totally separate parts, and very rarely I haven't spoken to Eva really, since yesterday, I think it was, because it's just lots of stuff happening.
I think that's a really good reminder. Like, I forget that we actually did work together because it was quite a long time ago. But even though we worked in different offices, but it was when it was Rental Hotline.
Yes.
And Barb and John White owned the business, and we were really young, and they were probably people that we looked up to at the time, and just they worked
really. They were
really
wonderful
well
leaders, and they were just ahead of their time, and definitely sat with us. And we actually learnt a lot by watching them as husband and wife in a company, and we still refer ourselves to them today, which was a great experience for us, I think.
So Rose Kelly was your boss as well.
Rose Kelly was the person that gave me my first job in real estate.
Oh, really?
So
fantastic.
Definitely owe Rose a lot for that,
Yes.
and a reminder of it too every now and then.
I don't think you work with Rose as well?
No. I worked alongside Rose. I never actually worked for her. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So what are you seeing right now, 2019, the biggest challenges in real estate at the moment? And I suppose biggest problems, biggest challenges within the real estate industry.
Yeah, and you're both working
separate areas, because you're in the sales side of the business, Brennan. You're in the property management side. I suppose let's start with sales. What do you see as the biggest challenges in the sales side of the industry right now?
People are different to how they were not just 10 years ago, but 12 months ago. People are, the way that they interact with each other, the way that they interact with the community is totally different now. And I think where there's some basics of real estate that are really important, it just comes down with the connections and the relationships. And I know it's kind of like overused about the relationships, but what we're really looking at is how we can have richer relationships. How just yesterday in our team meeting, we were just talking about something really simple about being a good person, and with the way that we market now, it's totally different. People are forming an opinion about you, and they feel like they know you well before they meet you. And how we can have that consistency, how we can flow information and content out to the community is really important, and I think is going to be our way of just keeping front of mind with people. And ultimately, the landlord clients that we have, the tenant clients that we have, we don't see any of those people as one particular group. And probably the good example of that is our very first property that we sold was a tenant that walked into our office, and they walked into the office and they were asking, the usual question, can I have a rental list? And, something as little simple in our business is we don't give out rental lists. We actually have a conversation with people and we engage with them. And we try and build a relationship with them straight away. We identified that this particular lady, the property that she was looking to rent, we had one for sale. And she happened to have an inheritance. She had $40,000 in the bank, but she didn't realize that as a single woman that she'd be able to get a loan. So we connected up her with our in-house mortgage broker, and 30 days later she's walking out the keys to her home. And that particular lady, she found a new relationship a year later, and now we're managing her property for her. And there was no doubt on who she was going to lease her property with.
Yep.
We just treated her with such respect. She had a great experience as a renter, and she knew that that same experience would be carried forward. And so what's going to be the way that we're going to continue to grow is how we can communicate those stories and get those stories out to the marketplace. And that's really what we focus on, and how we can have those richer relationships. But the thing is, the big challenge is there's so many people in real estate you need to communicate to. I've got 15,000 people on my database. There's tenants, there's landlords, there's vendors, there's buyers. How can I have a personalized experience for every single one of those people? And we look at automation, we look at process-driven tasks, but what it comes down to is, giving the right people the right information at the right time, and giving people in the business access to all the information about that particular person. So if I'm engaging with them, I can actually see the history of that conversation. I can pick up where somebody else has left off. So our ability to be able to do that, and that's where the direction that we're heading in.
So you're really using property technology to help you to individualize the communication that you're having with the people that you're maintaining contact with.
100%. And we've sort of looked at the problem where we've got so many people to interact with, and we want to make sure everyone's getting a really personalized experience, and we found that our ability to be able to manage that is going to be our differentiator moving forward into the future. And the tech space is going to be really important, we believe, for that. So that's where we're heading, and I think what's going to make us sustainable in the long term.
And property management, what are you saying? The challenges, adding on from what Brennan's already...
Look, I mean, there's always going to be a few challenges for property management moving forward. I think the biggest, I suppose, not really a challenge, but in a way it is a challenge, but it's just making sure that we provide a meaningful communication to our clients, which can justify, the fees that we charge for the service that we provide. Yep. So I think moving forward into the future, it's, just being able to have an open mind and to look at the innovation, look at the technology that's out there, and choose what's right for your business. Because the thing is, no real estate business is the same. Yep. So going to a standardisation isn't going to be a solution either. Different real estates on different size scales have different budgets, different locations, different areas, different prices, properties. So I think, really just keeping at the front of mind is that communication is key to be able to have a sustainable business in the future.
Yeah.
So how long do you think this is just a side question, how long do you think is an acceptable amount of time to return contact to a tenant and an owner?
We debate this all the time. We set a policy in the business that 4 hours is a acceptable response time.
Yes.
And essentially, it should be straight away. You should be available straight away when they need you to be able to provide them the answers they require.
Yep.
Yes.
So, when we look at the future and we look at what people are expecting, their expectations are getting more and more and more. So it should be really instantaneous responses that we should be providing, and that's the model that we're working towards.
Yeah, and we're looking to other industries now. We're just playing with some technology at the moment that allows for chatbots, that allows for instant communication, mobile options. What can we do to be able to give the people the information they need instantly, 24 hours a day? Self-service is a massive tool that industries right around the world are using, and we're literally this morning before you came, I started playing with some new tech at the moment, looking at, can we actually do this? Can we actually provide an instantaneous response 24 hours a day, whether it's self-service, whether it's a human interaction? Can we track that? Yes. Do we know how many inbound calls that we're taking? And actually, Damien sort of alerted me to someone in the industry talking to him about this really granular information, and my mind kind of went, "Oh, is that really necessary?" But I think it is. I think the fact that people want that granular is important. Like, how many calls did you take today? How many calls came inbound to the office today? What was the longest call? What was the customer sat for every single person that had that interaction? And when we started diving a little bit deeper, and we're playing with stuff at the moment, is there's tools out there that can provide that.
Yes.
You can actually rate the experience on every single interaction that you're having. And we talk about standardization and personalization. Some people, they don't want to take a phone call. They'd want you to text message them. So if I have a process that's very rigid where, inbound maintenance requests, send the email to the owner, make the call, whatever, and it's not around that particular person's needs, they're not going to enjoy the experience. And an example of that was just recently we had this client, and he rang me up and he complained about one of the property managers because they're too efficient.
Oh, really?
There was no, what was the word he used? He said that he goes, I don't quite have a bond with them, but they're really efficient, but I just don't bond with the person.
She's just too efficient for me.
Yeah, okay.
She sends me messages but won't talk to me.
So I think this false perception of technology is going to take over property management industry, I don't believe that. I think it's going to aid and assist us, but they're still going to need the human interaction.
And I think that's the key, that the two words you use then, aid and assist. Aid and assist are important words to use. And I agree, I don't think there are a lot of other agencies out there that are doing a lot of actually taking action on a lot of the areas that you are, especially around methods of communication, because it's key. I think it was Sarah Martin was talking about down in Melbourne property management, some of the stuff that she's putting in place. Again, it's not about a 4 hours for a voice communication. It's about a period of time before there is some form of reaction. Form of reaction which can trigger or start a process along that path, whatever is required.
I was at a conference last week and they were talking about people sending messages via Messenger and people replying via a phone call or via a text message. People that message via Messenger want a response on that platform. So it's actually developing I suppose the system and having the ability that you can use all of these channels to be able to communicate and still
there's so
track
many
it.
channels
There's so many
as well
channels
that you can use.
Yeah, and this tool I'm playing with at the moment integrates all your socials as well. So, and it wants to predict that particular user or that particular contact that you're working with. It encourages you to add their social account. And so you can start interacting with them in that way. And they were saying, I was reading an article last night that 71% of people that will interact with you from social media will refer you to somebody else.
Yes.
So if you connect with them in that rich way, where they feel, the relationship's strong enough that I'm going to, talk to you through my social media platform, 71% of those people will engage.
I'll take you back 2-3 years ago. Our first interaction was via social media.
Yeah.
It was a messenger at 10 o'clock at night, I think.
Yeah.
Might have even been on a weekend. I can't even remember. Hallie sent me a message going, "Hey, we want to talk about your services."
Yeah, I think we got a referral from someone. Did we?
No, I don't even know if David will remember this, but I think it was the LPMA conference.
I remember. I do remember.
Where were we? So maybe the casino?
It's on the Gold Coast.
And you had the big screen up and you had one of the VAs up there, Faith, was it?
Yeah.
She was up there talking, and I think she was up there having a chat, and I just thought, this is really cool, what's going on here. And I suppose that kind of sparked my journey of, where is the future of property management going?
Yeah.
What is the technologies that we can use to make our business better?
So just going back a little bit around the social media stuff, do you add clients on social media?
100%.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And what do you show them?
What?
Because you obviously have to be conscientious.
You try to level it out. I mean, we have our virtual assistants will post our, just leased, just listed, sales, rental properties, your standard posts that you see with your property, your agents, that type of thing. And then we try to keep the personalisation side of it for the salesperson or the property manager who might want to do a bit of a candid video or something, that they've taken themselves, which adds the personal touch. But we have the consistency with the virtual assistants providing, those standard type Facebook and Instagram tiles that you see.
Yes.
So you have a bit of a mix of both. But you definitely got to try and put some kind of personal touch to it.
You have to because what I've seen, people will form an opinion, and if you don't let your real side come across, then they can't connect with you. And people are often wanting to find something they have in common with you. And I'm friends with a lot of my clients on my personal page on Facebook, not just my professional page, and I get a lead nearly every day, probably every 2 or 3 days, I'll get a lead from either Instagram or Facebook from someone that I have, friends with, or a relationship with, or referral about, and
it's usually in the evenings.
It's always in the evenings.
Sometimes between 8, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, people are sitting down, relaxing, looking at social media. We're finding that a lot of landlords are kind of like digitally interviewing us, kind of finding out about us first. And we've had a case where, a landlord's walked in and asked for a particular person based on the fact that they have found them on, Facebook, looked at them, felt a connection, looked at their Google reviews, seen what kind of person they are, so they knew what they look like, what the person was, what other people had said about that person, and asked for that particular person.
It's incredibly true. That I connect personally with a majority of people who send me Facebook requests, as long as they don't seem dodgy. And I understand that from a social media perspective, it's what we do. I see as a lifestyle. So I don't see it as a 9 to 5. I mean, I own the business, but we're one of the owners of the business, and Damien, you run your own business as well, and I see this as a lifestyle choice, and I make sure that whatever I put out there and however I interact, it fits in line with my lifestyle, which it generally does anyway. So So
I think the key is just keeping it professional as well.
Yes. Exactly.
There's a lot of tools out there you can use to keep it just looking sharp and professional.
And consistency. I'll bump into people I haven't seen in a long time, and they're like, "Oh wow, you're doing so well." I'm like, "Am I?" And you forget the amount of content that you're putting out, and we look after now across our group about 15 people's accounts, and we just took over one of our property managers' accounts just recently, and because I said to her, look, you're not getting your brand out there. We're very focused on everybody individually building their brands and getting their own content out, not just relying on our page. And it was a strategic decision we made sort of about 2 years ago, because I thought I could try and build an audience on Ray White Beanley, or I could have 15 accounts and reach far more people. And so a lot of property managers, agents, they don't really know what to post, or they're kind of a little bit shy about getting their content out
sporadic,
there.
Consistently for a week or two, and then just drop off.
So our VA team literally has taken over everybody's account for them, and obviously we don't like take over your account. We say, would you like us to support you with building your brand? And most people are like, please go for it. And sometimes we'll physically create their accounts for them. Obviously it's their login details, they have access to any time, but then the VA team will just take over and automate all that messaging that goes out. And one of the property managers, Nerida, who we just took her account last week, she'd never been on Instagram before. Created her Instagram account, and even her family started saying, "Oh wow, you're doing so much work!" Those even people that were close to her
commented on one of the posts.
Like, "Oh my God, you're doing so well at work," and so people notice it even within your own family group. And a lot of the stuff that I get from socials isn't necessarily a random person that I don't have a relationship with. It might be a friend of a friend of a friend, and that reach out is really important for us. And it just works.
So, from a business owner's point of view, what special advice would you give to other business owners out there?
Oh, where do you start?
In real estate.
Look, for me, it's just about make the job fun and take care of your people. And if the people in the business are enjoying what they're doing, you're progressive enough to give them the tools that they want, and they feel like they're part of something special, then they'll stick with you and they'll give people an amazing experience. When I was with a company, went from Rental Hotline, we were the largest property manager in Queensland, to Run Property, the largest property manager in Australia, and I was with that company for a decade. Loved it. It was great business. We built our own technology. We're doing amazing things right at the front end of the industry. It was really, really cool. Then the business was bought by Little Real Estate, and while it was a good company, it became very corporatized at that time. It lost its special essence. It lost its... I didn't have the CEO's phone number anymore. I couldn't connect with the leadership in the group, and it lost its kind of innovation. And that was the time when I went, you know what, I've been here for a decade. I don't really have a relationship with the leadership group anymore. I feel like that there's these really rigid barriers being created. It's time for me to move on. And I always remember that, and always try and make sure that all the people in my team don't get that feeling where they lose a relationship with the leadership group. And we're a big business now. We've got 3 offices. We've got 60 plus staff. We onboarded 400 managements. We did 19 million in sales last month. We
bring on about anywhere between a minimum of 30 to 50 new managements per month.
Fantastic.
Which is massive.
Yeah.
So
just logistics around that.
It's
generally
huge.
30 is a bad month. So it usually hovers around kind of 45, 50 managements per month. So it's quite a lot, and quite a lot to onboard. So we have to have a lot of systems and processes in place to be able to do that as well.
But it really just comes down to the people being happy. And I find if they're happy and they feel like they're part of something special, they don't resist that growth. They embrace it, and they know that, you know, we spend a lot of time, pretty much every single one of our team meetings that we have on a Monday morning is just talking about what's important to us, not in terms of numbers, but the culture that we want to have, and the core values that we have. And we hope that then when people are out doing their interactions and their inspections and meeting the tenants or meeting the buyers or whatever, that they kind of have a framework of the rules around what it is that they do, because we try and not be so rigid in terms of our policies and procedures. And really, we have frameworks, but we want to make, have it a little bit pliable so people have amazing experiences, and that's my biggest tip. Just look after your people. What about you, Hal? What do you reckon?
My biggest tip would be to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after your people. And I think that was the biggest learning curve for us when we first opened a business. And I think reflecting back, I don't think there's really much you could change or do about it, but you are working, 12 hours a week, 12 hours a day, sorry. 12 hours a week.
That's a goal. That's a goal. Yeah.
No, but, you're coming in, your first one here, going home at 8 o'clock at night, we've got... we've got a child to look after, you're not really looking after yourself as such. And that was really takes its toll on yourself. And it's very stereotypical, first year's the hardest, second year gets easier, third year gets easier again. But I think really, maintaining that kind of like looking after yourself is most important. But I suppose with learning through that as well, it's really made me more conscious about our property managers. I've been a property manager for a long time. I understand the role. I know how stressful it is. And rather than looking at my role as, head of property management, I really just look at my role essentially is how do I make the property managers' lives easier? That's how I really define what my role is. So I look at the problems, try and find some solutions, and try and design this kind of, processes that we have in place so they can go home at 5 o'clock and feel like they can switch off, that they can have a career in real estate and feel like that they've got a supportive leadership group that can give them the tools that they need to do their job.
And it's competitive to get a property manager. It's really competitive. And we've been very fortunate that we've been able to attract some wonderful people, and after we sort of catch up with them and we sort of say, hey, you had a lot of businesses to choose from, what made you choose us out of all those companies? And often it's in relation to that I feel like you guys have the framework and you're focused on, giving me some work-life balance, and you seem more caring about me, and which gives us that opportunity to be able to attract the right people. And just last night, Hallie had one of our past employees call her, and she had left because she wanted to this BDM role, and she felt comfortable enough to ring Hallie to get advice about her new position. And
we didn't have a position for a BDM role. It was really, purely on the fact of driven by, changing the role for money, parted on great ways, and it's always a good way to go. And felt comfortable enough to kind of ring me and have a discussion about challenges with growing and getting new business, and, just really being able to provide the support and advice and help just to, really make her feel better about where she was going with the future with it, and just had to just remind her, this is the opportunity that you wanted. You've got the opportunity in front of you to grow and to get more money, and this is what you want to do. So here's some tools to help you along the way. And I think it's just really important to, for us to, really have those relationships, and other people to have those relationships when you're in property management, because it is a small, tight-knit community. Yeah. Everybody knows everybody.
No one would really expect that. No one would really expect your team member to go to a competitor. They're not a direct competitor, they're in different areas, but to give them advice on how to do well in their role. I
think we've been in the industry long enough to know that you can kind of look over, I suppose, with us for the last 20 years, and everybody generally, kind of either starts a business together, works together, grows together, crosses paths somewhere along the way.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think it's really important to, to support one another across that journey as well. And
we've always been like that, and I think perhaps because of some of the roles that we've had, the high level roles that we've had, where that's all we did was just supported people. We have people from different brands come in here all the time, and we have some great relationships. We actually helped another brand hire a great BDM recently. She'd reached out to us looking for a role.
Comes around as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, if it's somebody in a different area and their BDM's fantastic and perhaps moves to our area, that's going to be a recommendation to come to us. So it's just really just making sure that we are working in a supportive environment when it comes to other agents, other people that work with you within your group, and just making sure that everybody grows together.
And a lot of people ask us because we go to present at conferences a lot. We do sessions like this, and why do you give your gold out is often a question that I get asked, particularly of the people in my team. And I said, well, it's not just about me keeping everything for myself, because I find when I share, people swing back to me.
Yes.
The other thing is that's really challenging, and probably one of my sort of final tips for any existing business or any new business is start implementing some new stuff. Don't be afraid to make a change, and ultimately, when it comes down to the things that we share, is people have a lot of difficulty driving it into their business, and they have a lot of difficulty, getting started.
Yes.
And often I say to Hallie, I could go to my competitors right either side of me and literally give them the handbook.
It's implementation.
It's
implementation.
That's right. Yeah, most people don't implement.
That's how Brennan and I suppose work really well together. He has some really big ideas, and he sometimes doesn't quite have the patience when it comes to implementation.
I don't like fine detail.
So he doesn't like fine detail. Whereas I love the fine detail. I like the implementation side of things. So that's how we work really well together. He'll come up with a crazy idea and want to implement it in, 3 days.
And you guys know that firsthand.
Yeah.
That's like every call I get from Damien is about someone trying to implement something or a roadblock that they've hit, and we as a business, even our VA team, was for us, didn't cross our mind on how we were going to be able to take the next step. It was already mapped out in our mind, and we're already skipped 2 steps ahead. Now we're sort of sharing what it is that we're doing with people and the processes we built around that, but now we're sort of taken another step forward in our evolution, and how we're going to drive new technology, how we're going to use AI, how we're going to have 24/7 interactions, how we're going to track those interactions, and that perhaps might be the next thing, but we know that we'll be able to implement it and we'll be able to get it launched before anyone's even considering it.
But I agree around sharing the goal, because a couple of things that do happen, like you said, people generally have challenges with the implementation side of it.
Yeah.
But by sharing the goal, you're automatically creating yourself as an authority.
That's the hope.
Yeah. And that's the reason why we make things like this, is because we hang out with cool people, and then they think that we're cool too.
That's I think that's the thing. You can pick up different things from different people to implement in your business. Different people can inspire you. It's important to be around a good group of people who share similar visions. because something that you pick up or I pick up could be different to somebody else. So
Yep.
it's just important to, to have that really healthy mindset and
Yes.
be positive when it comes to being around other people in the business and look at them more of an assistance to you rather than the competition.
Fantastic.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to go for a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put you guys on the hot seat and ask you a series of questions that will hopefully make you cry or laugh.
Okay.
Sounds
Like
good?
fun.
Excellent. Okay, welcome back to the hot seat powered by Affordable Staff with Hallie, Brennan and Damien.
Hello.
And we're at this part of the interview where we go through the hot seat questions.
I know, I like this part. I get to sit back
I
and do
know,
nothing.
I know.
I'm actually a little bit nervous too.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm like nervous and excited. I'm
Yes.
like, I've only got
Okay,
one.
you ready?
Yep.
Okay. I'll ask the first question, you go second question, etc., etc.
Oh, my eyes aren't that good.
Okay, I'll just ask all the questions. Okay, so Brennan, you're first.
Okay.
Number one bucket list item.
Bucket list. I want to go to Europe. I found this new love for Europe and wanting to travel there. I think I've just done so much time in Asia that I need to class it up a bit.
Excellent. Strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, I don't know. We did go to the Philippines last year.
Yeah.
What did we eat there?
I don't know
Chicken's
what it
feet.
was.
Did you eat the chicken's feet?
Yeah.
That was
I
disgusting.
may have.
Yes. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh my God, these questions are hard.
Hot seat.
3 words. Fun-loving guy. I like to have fun.
There you go.
Hey, high fives.
How do you spend the first 3 hours of your day?
Putting makeup on? No. I'm joking.
You only get one shot at it.
No. The norm, wake up, get ready, get your kid ready for school.
Yell at kids?
Get ready for
Get
work.
breakfast made for you.
Drink coffee.
Drink coffee.
Actually, that's definitely it. But then to work.
Check Insta, drink coffee.
Check Insta, drink coffee, put makeup on.
Excellent. Favourite drink?
Vodka lemon soda. is my
Something
drink.
interesting nobody knows about you? Told you it's hot seat.
What's something interesting?
I know everything about you, so it's all interesting to me.
We'll come back to that.
Okay. Would you prefer to be invisible or be able to fly?
Fly, for sure.
What's a mistake that ended up being a success? Can't say your kid. I think that's what Ever said.
I don't know. It's a hard one.
Okay, morning or night?
Night.
Weapon of choice?
I'm not a violent person. I don't have a weapon of
It can be
choice.
your phone. It
My
can be your
phone?
keyboard. It
Okay.
can be your voice.
Maybe my phone.
Excellent. Biggest fear?
Drowning.
If you weren't doing what you were doing now, what would you be doing?
I don't know. I'm terrible at this.
I'm just working that out.
Yeah, that's right.
If you wouldn't, what was the question?
If you weren't doing what you were doing now, what would you be doing?
You'd be at the beach. It's your day off. That's what you were going
I
to
thought
do
we're
today.
talking about like career-wise.
Oh,
If you weren't
Any
doing-
way you
Any
interpret
way you
it.
want
Well,
to
if
say
I
it.
wasn't doing what I was doing right now, I would be at the beach because I'm actually on annual leave for 2 weeks and came in on my day off to do this.
Yes, and I'm not sure if you're regretting it now after some of these
I'm just gonna keep
questions.
reminding you
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
right. University or School of Hard Knocks?
School of Hard Knocks, but I've gone back to uni. So, because I realised I needed it, unfortunately. I thought the School of Hard Knocks would do everything for me, but it hasn't.
What advice would you give to an 18-year-old version of you?
Go to university.
Fridays or Mondays?
Fridays, for sure.
One item you could not live without?
My gym shoes.
Cats or dogs?
Which one do you like better?
My cat.
Yeah.
Your cat.
My cat.
Final question. How many keys do you have on your keyring?
6.
6. Yeah, a lot of... Oh, where's my
I
keys?
just guessed.
You just guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people in real estate and property management apparently don't like having keys because they have to carry them around so much.
Yeah.
So they try to avoid them and only have a single key or a fob, I think is the term. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Like I said, it is the hot seat, and hopefully you found some of those questions interesting. At the final part of the interview now is where you basically talk about what you have going on right now and any type of shameless plug you'd like to give.
What we have going on right now.
Like, I think it's a watch
so
this
much.
space type of moment. We definitely have something going on right now.
Yeah.
And
Like
it's,
personally or professionally?
Professionally.
Professionally or personally?
yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think professionally we've definitely got some really exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, we do.
No shameless plug just yet. All we can say is watch this space.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
we've got some pretty cool stuff that we're working on at the moment, and we haven't made any announcements yet. But in terms of just day-to-day work, it's just we've moved into the machine phase at the moment. Things are just ticking over. So
Yes.
I think our creative minds are sort of working in overdrive at the moment. So we're playing with some new toys. So
So if I was wanting to sell my house, how would I get in contact with you, Brennan?
Instagram.
Instagram. And Hallie, if I want best property management in Beenleigh, how would I get a hold of you?
You could use any method of contacting you.
Well, thank you very much.
What a way to end. Thank you very much for Hallie and Brennan coming in today.
Thank you guys, really
being on the hot
appreciate
seat.
it.
And
All right,
thank you,
thank you
Damien,
for
for coming
having
and
us.
interviewing. Fantastic.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. See you all again next time on The Hot Seat. Okay, thank you for listening to this episode with Hallie and Brennan. And before you go, I'd like to ask if you enjoyed this episode that you subscribe to our podcast, which you can find if you search for The Hot Seat wherever you listen to podcasts, especially on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, I want to remind you that The Hot Seat is powered by affordable staff, and if I am 100% honest, we could not put The Hot Seat together without outsourcing. There's a lot of background work that goes into creating a podcast, and this couldn't be done without outsourcing it to our overseas team. I mean, I record the content here, and then I send it offshore where they handle the audio, the video edits, the website, the podcast distribution, the marketing, and so much more. So a special thank you to our team in the Philippines. Okay, great. Thank you again for all of your support, and we'll catch you in the next episode of The Hot Seat.